I've always believed that when we share our stories, we give others the courage to share theirs, and that we can inspire others by the telling of our stories. On this edition of A Woman's Place, we will talk to women who share stories of struggle, but then they show us that beauty can come from ashes. We talk more on A Woman's Place. Join us. We're back on A Woman's Place. I'm Angela Harrington Rice, and I'm excited to have two women who are joining me now who have been courageous enough to tell their stories, but not only to tell their stories, but to open up a way for other women to tell theirs. So I'd like to introduce Nanette Littlestone and Azizi Blissett. Thank you so much for being here on today.
Thank you for having us.
And you've created, I can't even say it's a book, you've created this collaboration of women who have come out to share their stories of pain and hurt and how they've grown through those challenges. So tell me what inspired you to want to tell your story, but not only tell your story, but to say, hey, come on, you can tell your story. You can do it too.
I've been writing and editing for a little over 20 years now, and I had no desire and no interest in doing a collaborative book. I really didn't know that much about them. But 6 years ago, I got a whisper from the divine, and it said, faith, finding answers in the heart. My first instinctive reaction to that was, wow, that's a great title. What do I do with it? And then I thought, oh, I could write my story. I could tell my autobiography about my spiritual journey. And I started to go into worry, doubt, and fear. Who am I? I'm not an important person. I had published some stories and poems online, but I didn't have a best-selling book. I wasn't a celebrity. Who would want to read about me? So I shrugged aside that whisper, and I just ignored it and went on with my life. Well, when Spirit talks to you, it doesn't give up, and it kept coming back. And over time, I started writing my story, and I was not happy about doing that. It wasn't something that I really wanted to do. But a couple of years into that time period, I was invited to be part of a collaborative book. And not only did I write a chapter in the book, but I got to edit it. And I got to understand the process of dealing with 25 different authors and their writing styles, and understanding that my judgments about how they write were not important. It was the fact that they were telling their story. And it was my job to make sure that they told their story in the best way possible so everyone could understand it. When I got finished with that book, I wanted to do the same thing for my clients. So when the faith whisper came back, I had a way to put it out there. And I invited people to join me in this collaboration and tell their stories of challenge, because my spiritual journey is an ongoing challenge. I'm always coming up against doubts and fears and struggling with self-worth or self-love. And this was a way for me to tell people what I'm going through and to encourage other women to tell their stories. So that's how the first faith book came about.
And I love that, finding answers in the heart. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I mean, that was really good. I'm like Oprah now, that's tweetable. So, yeah, that's really good. You know, a lot of times we look outside of ourselves for those answers. You know, no matter what we're going through, it's like we call a friend, we go to our spiritual leader, I go to the internet. Mm-hmm. We find these other places, and It keeps us from sitting with ourselves and listening to what's going on within our own hearts. Azizi, tell me what inspired you to be a part of this project.
Well, I have always enjoyed many forms of writing. I've always done writing in the corporate and professional arena, just as a marketing communication professional. when the opportunity came to do a chapter in faith, it just seemed like a good fit for me. I have a nonprofit organization where I'm able to share my story with other people in terms of how I was able to find those answers in my heart. And so I never took the opportunity to sit down and actually write about it. And so I thought this was a perfect fit for me, and I thought the title was a perfect fit as well. And I jumped at the opportunity to do so. Like I said, I've always enjoyed creative writing and expression, journaling, and things of that nature. So I didn't know that I could be an author. I thought someday, maybe, and the collaborative effort really was a good opportunity because I got to share in this experience with other women.
And I think that is so wonderful too. It's almost like you can put your toe in the water and you don't have to put your whole foot in, and so that can inspire you to kind of move a little bit higher. Now you tell a story about suppressing your feelings, suppressing your thoughts, so talk about what did you want the reader to get from that story?
Well, the title of my chapter is called The Art of Expression, and it's a story about how I was able to connect in with my inner child, that little girl inside of me, and really get my voice back, really get in touch with my divine essence and my inner being as a result of an art project in school when I had gone back to school. I was able to tap into a very vague childhood trauma, and I was able to heal emotionally from that experience just through being able to express myself on canvas and through art, an art-based project. I went through every emotion you can even imagine. I remember going through the whole shame and pain and guilt as I began to tap into that little girl. And on the other side of it, I began to see some of the other beautiful emotions, like love and joy and forgiveness. And so it became this total experience for me where I was able to just embrace my emotional self altogether and kind of become this whole person as a result of that experience. And so it became a catalyst for me to be able to connect in with other people and help other people tell their art story. I never knew that I would have the opportunity to also be an author and do it in written form.
Well, you've done something even more. You've produced a product from your experience. Tell us about your calendar for 2016.
Yeah. So when I came through that experience, that art project, I actually was, we were actually given a word, and my word was shame. And everyone else in the class, they had all these wonderful words. I remember love and joy and happy-go-lucky, all these beautiful words, but mine was shame, as Spirit would have it. And so I had no idea what shame had to do with me, but I decided that I was going to take this project and I was going to take it on and embrace it some kind of way. So I ended up producing a collage series that took me all the way from shame all the way through to forgiveness. So I went through all of these different emotions, and when I was done, I had 11 pieces of artwork that I had just produced on canvas. And I took that artwork and put it into calendar form. I put it on greeting cards and postcards and different things like that to be able to inspire other people and to allow other people to know that even some of the negative emotions that we experience, if we begin to embrace it, we can feel and get to the other side as well. There's always a polarity. There's always an opposite of that emotion if we can just embrace it. For me, I had just gone through a period where I suppressed it. And I was stuck and didn't know what to do with it. So, being able to express myself in a creative way allowed me to process all of those emotions and to know that it's okay to feel angry and to feel shameful at different times in your life, and you can push through that to get to the other side. The ultimate one for me was just forgiveness, because it's a gift that we all have, that we have the opportunity to release whatever and just move beyond that and create new moments and new experiences and new opportunities for our lives. So.
Well, thank you, and it's a beautiful calendar.
Thank you.
It must be really good. I think one of the things about the collaborative project is that it's really good to get to completion, to write something and to get to the end and to have that inspire you to do something else. So, Nanette, your
Yes.
story is a journey.
The title of my story is Lost and Found, and it covers a 3-year period in my life back in the late 80s. I was living in Hawaii. I had moved there because it was always my dream to live on an island, a tropical island, but I wanted some security and safety, so I didn't want to go outside of the U.S. So I moved to Maui, and as love would have it, as the universe would have it, I met a guy on the beach. Perfect script for a movie. He was like this sun god sitting there. He had blonde hair and this great body, and I was really taken with him. And he was apparently very taken with me too, but there was something not quite right about him, something very different. He talked really fast. It was hard to understand him, but he had this chemistry, this magnetism about him, and I just wanted to be with him. And he moved in with me the following day. And I remember saying to myself, I have never lived with somebody, and I won't know what it's like if I don't let somebody move in with me. So I gave the go-ahead to that relationship. It was not a happy relationship. There were great moments. We had a chemistry between us. He was very attractive. He was very caring at times, but there were also times when he drank too much. He was very manipulative, and he was a con artist. So we were on Hawaii for a little less than 3 months when we had this conversation about traveling around the Pacific Northwest. And I love to travel, and I had never been there, so I said, let's go. So we did. And it was just a series of dominoes falling that went from not great to worse. And I eventually ended up in bankruptcy and bad relationship feelings and all kinds of things.
So what happens? I know it has to be kind of cathartic for you to share this information. You know?
Well, the reason that I call the story Lost and Found is because I lost my sense of self. I was a very independent, strong, powerful person before I met him, and I let go of that and I became dependent, like any codependent relationship. And it took me 3 years to find myself again, to release that bond that I had with him and rediscover who I was and start loving myself again. So telling the story is a catharsis. As Azizi mentioned, forgiveness holds the key to so much healing in our lives. When I was able to let go and forgive him, but also forgive myself. Because I chose that, and I wanted to go through that, and it was a big life lesson for me. So having me tell the story, I think, encourages other people who have gone through similar relationships to know that there is a positive outcome, that forgiveness will get you there, and that by loving yourself, you'll find the peace and the power that you want.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So in the Faith series,
Yes.
there's a volume 1 and a volume 2.
Yes.
I know you're working to develop volume 3.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit more about how we can find out more information or about getting the books.
Sure. I have a website for faith called findinganswersintheheart.com, and there is a page on the Faith website called Participation. So if you go to that tab on the website, you'll learn more about the books and about being in the book and all the details that are involved to be an author in the book. And I'm looking for women and possibly men in the future, but women right now who have major challenges in life, whether it be cancer or the death of a child or divorce or some other health issue or monetary crisis, something that you've gone through and come out on the other side and where you've understood the lesson in it so that you can share that with other people, because there are so many lost souls out there who need direction. And by understanding that they can tune into their heart and listen to what's inside them, they can find their voice, they can find the courage to take the next step on their path.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Was so beautifully said. Thank both of you for being here and for having the courage to tell your stories. And again, if you can tell us the website so that we can be in touch.
Yes, it's www.findinganswersintheheart.com.
Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Angela.
When we return on A Woman's Place, we'll talk to another woman who's found a way to rebound in life.